If you may, I would argue the simplification of the assumption that this package would be ideologically oriented or serving the purpose of the extreme right. On the contrary. First of all, when we're talking about binding rules, we're talking about binding rules of all the member states, regardless the political color or orientation of the relevant governments in place. And believe me, there are many, because migration and asylum have proved the most divisive issue in the European agenda. What are we doing here? Precisely, we are coming up with a European scale of response, which is exactly the opposite of the ultimate agenda of the far right, which is precisely going national, going back to national. That is a dystopia, not only because it ignores the rules on which the European area of liberty, justice and security is founded, including the rule of fair shared responsibility and solidarity when it comes to migration and asylum policy and lawmaking, but also the very idea of a European scale of response. That is actually the positive side of this whole thing. And let me add something. If I hear some opinions that they are not happy with this package or with this agreement and the compromises underlying, I would argue that is precisely the point. None of us is happy. But when you come to a negotiating round in which you see a variety of political groups and you see 27 member states represented in the Council, and you see a sequence of rotating presidency making points on behalf of two institutions which are to be put in line if we want to have European legislation, that is precisely the point of compromising. No one can come out from this negotiation entirely happy. No one can have it its own way. But it's absolutely untrue that this package denies EU values. On the contrary, it reaffirms EU values, including fundamental rights, precisely because we are finally putting in place legislation which is binding for all the member states, including human rights, fundamental rights considerations. And that is precisely the aim of this whole negotiation we're coming from, and that is the difference we're making. Because the situation where we're coming from is precisely a situation of anomia, a situation in which member states have been inclined or even incited to act on their own, with individual, fragmented, non-systemic reactions, instead of a European system of response, which is the one we're trying to put in place here.
Oui, merci beaucoup.